Welcome to the Time is Ripe podcast. Time is Ripe is a digital journal podcast of Ripe Creatives. Ripe Creatives is a ministry that leverages the arts for the purpose of missions here in Philadelphia and around our region. Time is Ripe is hosted by Ripe Creatives founder Scott Smith and features various guests from within the Ripe community and our extended family. Each episode focuses on a specific experience that our team hosted here in the city or an outside event where someone from our team was booked to perform. We hope you enjoyed today's episode.
What's up, fam? Welcome back to the Time is Ripe podcast. My name is Scott Smith, and I am your host here on the Time is Ripe. A lot of times we're talking about gigs or, bookings where we went somewhere to perform or minister or something like that. Sometimes we're talking about events that we produced. Today's a little bit unique because it's kind of neither of those things. It is an event that we had a hand in producing, but this event is actually much bigger than just Ripe itself. And what we're talking about is this thing called Kingdom Philly, the Hype and Holy Experience. It's going to be a great conversation. The date we're going to be centering on is January 17th, 2025. But if I'm honest, about a half of this episode is probably going to be about everything that led up to January 17th, because this was our second event for Kingdom Philly. This was Volume 2. So we got to talk about Volume 1 and what led to Kingdom Philly, all those things. To break this thing down, I have at least two guests, probably three if he gets here at some point. The returner who's on his way is Mr. Doc Hero, and hopefully you will get to hear his voice, and we should have a great time when he gets here. If you know Doc, he was on Season 1 for a Creatives concert that he did with us. Last season, he was on the FOF Fest episode, which was one of mine and Jarrett. Shout out to Top Mile Productions' favorite episodes. So we're really excited to have Doc back. But I also got two first-timers on the pod. Woo, woo, woo. I'm so excited. So I'll just name who they are. Maybe I might give like a little tidbit. We need these two guests to introduce themselves and have a great time. It's going to be awesome. First up, what do I say? I mean, he's the fashionista. He's the fashion mogul. I've known this man for quite a few years now. And he is the fashion icon of Philadelphia. Oh, wow. Faith in fashion. He's low-key kind of a pastor. Yeah. He's definitely high-key a minister.
Certainly.
High-key a minister, low-key a pastor. Keith Reed, welcome to the Time is Ripe.
Yo, man. Listen, I'm excited to be here, bro. I don't know what else to say, man. I mean, I try to keep things, short and sweet. You just hit it. I'm just, I guess I'm a pretty cool guy. Did an okay job with me.
Certainly a cool guy.
Yeah, man. I'm just happy just to be able to create and connect with like people who are like-minded, like-hearted, who have the same mission, and just draw for like unity and just developing people and leading people to God, man. So I'm here, bro.
Man, shout out to Keith Reed. What a legend. Keith, I gave you a little intro, but, do you have anything else to add? Maybe some things that you have going on in life these days consistently. Like what's happening in your world?
Oh, man. Yeah, bro. I mean, so a couple of things, man. I'm in the fashion space. So definitely me and my best friend, Trey, we have this event. It's called the Drip and Jam exhibit. Man, it's centered around live fashion and live music, and so pretty much it's like a big exhibit of designers that create like exhibitions in the space. It's also like a fashion themed event, so everybody comes dressed up in a particular theme, whether it's like all denim or all leather or something, and then the designers create different exhibit-esque art kind of presentations. And then we have, of course, like the music, man. Trey, Grammy-winning artist, drummer, he brings all the music, brings all the artists, and they do live performances. He brings his band, the Now Generation, and it's just an amazing situation. So that is something that we're locked in on doing here in Philly, and then also ventures to be out in LA soon. And then, man, I guess my pride and joy, man, is I don't believe I'm saying this. It's just man, at my church, man, Sharon Baptist, started a service. It's called Echo, and this is something that God's really been pulling on me to do for a long time, and it's like, nah, I'm not doing it. I'm cool with doing this, you know what I'm saying? But just seeing how God has like blessed it, man, and like the first time we have it once a month. First time we had it, the service, bro, was you couldn't get a seat, you know, and 12 people got saved, and it was just like
so good, man.
Yeah, bro. And so like I'm literally like I'm walking into that, you know what I'm saying? Walking into the things that he has for me and my I guess newer role in that space. Yeah, bro, I'm here for all the things.
Super good, man. I love it. We got one more guest. Man, I don't even know what to say about this dude.
Everything.
He was Forbes 30 under 30.
Yeah.
It's in the Instagram bio. He's a co-founder
Yep.
of Rec Philly.
That's right.
Which is one of the most important spaces we have in the entire city of Philadelphia, especially for arts and entertainment world. I mean, Rec Philly has done so much for the city. And it's just been a joy to watch it grow from the days in North Philly in the warehouse to being, you know, Center City, Fashion District, 9th and Market. Just a beautiful space down in the hub of the city. And Rec Philly's been serving, you know, hundreds, if not thousands of people every year through their membership program. But also, you know, getting people checks to go perform and create music and get grants for different things to create projects that they never otherwise would have been able to. So just kind of like an epicenter of creation for the artist and musician in Philadelphia. You founded that thing, man.
Yeah, man. God
and you're
is
here
good.
on the podcast, man.
I'm here and so grateful to be here, man. So grateful to be
Excited for both of you guys to be here. So real quick, Keith, Will, very quick, because we asked this of everybody. How'd you connect to Ripe Stuff? Like, how are we sitting in this room right now? For
You.
Scott, the plug.
Yeah. I mean, man, I've been connected because of our relationship that we've had like for years, you know, and just seeing all of the wonderful things that God has been able to do with you and bring all the artists and creatives together. It's just so amazing, man. And like you've always, I mean, you're probably like, I mean, in my mind, like even right this very moment, bro, when you talking about consistency, bro.
Facts.
You've been 10 toes down since I knew I had 10 toes. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's your heart, bro. It's just been the same, you know, since we first got connected years ago, like 2000 and like 7, 8, 9. Yeah, bro, that's how I've been connected to y'all, man. And be able to work with you guys with Kingdom 2, it's just been amazing.
Word.
So good, man.
Yeah, and my pathway to Ripe was also through you directly. I feel like you and I kind of crossed paths so many times, just both being in the creative space. And I think every time I saw you, I first was just like, yo, this dude has an incredible heart for artists. Yeah. And, you know, one of the first people that I interacted with that was clearly big supporter, champion of creativity, but also repping for Christ, loud and proud, doing it in such a beautiful way. And I remember the first time I got to see you perform. I don't know if you remember this, but for me, it was the first time I saw you perform. It was at Voices in Power, when Voices in Power came to Rec. And, yo, you did this NBA piece. And I was like, yo, I was like, hold on, I've seen him behind the scenes. I know he's been producing the different showcases, but like, Bull could spit.
Yeah,
like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And I think I just gained so much even more respect for you because I was like, yo, some artists with this level of talent would make it all about themselves.
Yeah.
But the fact that he is using his gift to just create space for other artists as well, I was like, wow, this is a dude I want to get to know. And I'll tell you this, we've never actually had this conversation, but I remember as I was deepening my walk last year, I remember having a conversation with some other folks that are mutuals for us, like mutual friends. And I was like, you know, working on this thing, and I've been talking to this guy, Scott. You know, I know Scott. He's a good dude. So what do you think of Scott? And the way this person raved about your character and just who you are, it made me know everything I needed to know about you. And it was so beautiful because he didn't know why I was asking about you, or I don't think he had any stake in the conversation. But the way that you've been a blessing to him in his life, it resounded, and I was like, oh, I'm so excited to have any sort of relationship with this dude. Wow. So shout out you, man.
You the bull.
It's incredibly embarrassing, guys. I literally asked this question, how'd you connect to Ripe? Thinking Keith would be like, oh, Terry, talk about Terry Bridges. Show some love to the young bull.
Yeah.
I thought Will was going to talk about Abel and how he's a fan.
Yeah.
Abel's music, okay.
Talk about
you before Abel, man.
You guys are very kind.
Abel fire too, though. I will say that. Abel is fire.
Abel is fire.
Top tier. So fire.
He the best of the best. He's a beast. Man, I'm super excited to have you guys on. Doc, we're already a half hour in. Maybe Doc will be here. We don't know.
Yeah. He's on here.
But we got to talk a little bit just to frame this whole thing. Kingdom Philly, what is that?
Yeah.
It is an event. It's called the Hype and Holy Experience is what we called it. But to kind of give the framing of it, I know from my end, the backstory really has to do with the national movement, with things like Joyful Noise, shout out to them down in Florida, the Ark that was in Atlanta, the Cove that's in Nashville, Save Social Club that's in LA. And I want to name those things because I want to name that it wasn't necessarily our unique idea. No. It's that God's been doing this around the country, and things have clearly been happening, and it's been a powerful movement where young people have been gathering around this Christian club space, if that makes sense. So I know from my end, I've been watching that for the last couple of years. Keith, I think you were too.
Yeah.
And so let's just go back. We're talking about January 17th eventually. Yeah. But let's go back to last year, because I think it started around a conversation that you and I had. Yeah. Talk to me about that side. Like, what were you seeing that maybe I was seeing as well that was super exciting?
Man, it's just super. It's super dope. Just how how this God has his own timing of things, and just the alignment of things, man, and how the conversation started. It was like me and Scott. Like we've been like, keeping tabs on each other like throughout like the years, and it's like, man, like we always like talk about like the things that are on our hearts and things of that nature, and it got to the point where we're just like, bro, like I think that like we could do something like pretty dope like for the city, for the culture, and it's not anything that like. Because when you think about it, it's not anything that has, like you said, hasn't already been done. Especially, it's not anything that we haven't done. It's just we haven't done it collectively. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it was like we started like bouncing around the idea. We were just talking to different people about it. And ultimately, man, it just ended up. I hit Will, and then Will was like, God was already doing some work on Will, you know what I'm saying? And, then like me and Trey, you linked this up with another DJ friend of yours. I forget his name.
Sammy.
Yeah. Sammy, yep. Me and Trey, we linked up with Sammy, and we were just talking about different things. And then it was just like, bro, like, we just have to like, do it. And we just have to do it, bro. And then I talked to Will, and Will was just like, yo, like bro, like I definitely I'm down, this, that, and the third. And then
it was really an answered prayer for me.
Yeah,
because where I was in my walk was God was just working on me, and I had rededicated my life to Christ, and I had been asking God like, yo, how, like, I already know what you've done for me throughout my walk, right, and what I've been doing in the business space, but I was like, how can I give this resource? How do I give this platform, back to you in some way? Yeah. So at that part of my journey is when I get that call from you, and you're like, yo, I got this idea. And I had also seen kind of social media, kind of just what I think the universal just like draw of us as believers who wanted to be in spaces like that. So it was a no-brainer to say, yo, all right, cool. You got a space.
Yes, sir.
What else do we need?
Yeah, it's crazy if you trace it, because like when we started talking, Keith and I, we had a plan actually to do a creatives concert club kind of thing. Yeah. On a Tuesday night at the Story Factory, which is a lot of the episodes that we've done over the last couple of years have been centered on that space and events we've done there. And it was going to be with your friend Trey. Now all of our friend Trey.
Shout out
But
Trey.
at the time, it was your best friend Trey, who I met through, Drip and Jam and stuff like that. But Trey Way, Doc Hero, who's part of the Ripe community, DJ Angie.
Yeah.
And like the five of us were just going to hit the ground running doing this. And then I kind of called like the Arc, the Cove, Safe Social Club, Joyful Noise, reached out to some people who run these other events. And they all said the same thing. They were like, Philly, absolutely, you can do it.
Yeah.
Do it on a weekend.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, like, I was like, well, I don't have a weekend. I got a Tuesday night. And you were talking to Roar, even, but it was like, that was going to be midweek as well.
Yeah.
And then you're like, yo, actually, I'm talking to Will. And next thing you know, like, we're sitting in a room. It's you and Trey, myself, Doc, Ant, but then it's Will and Rose. And Rose Golden, like, the value of you bringing her into this whole mix, because she's been doing a bunch of stuff with gospel karaoke.
Yeah, gospel karaoke. Yep.
Yes, sir.
It was like, wow. Oh my goodness.
He's here.
Island.
What's going on?
we midway through the conversation, Doc. Ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't notice what just happened, Doc Hero just showed up.
Yeah, I'm in this joint.
What's up, bro?
He on the podcast. But yeah, so we had that meeting last summer, summer 2024. And what did you guys feel like walking into that room? We're in one of the boardrooms at Rec.
Yeah.
Like, you look around the table, you see Doc, you see Angie, you see Trey, Keith, Rose, yourself. What did you guys feel?
Look, I'll speak for myself. I was excited.
Yeah.
And I was excited because, again, where I was coming from was just like, yo, I want to do something for the kingdom. What can we do? And I think to be sitting in that room and looking around the table and being like, yo, all of these heavy hitter power players in their own right, we're all around this table for one reason, and that's to create space for God, and that felt good for me. I felt very much so just in alignment with where I felt like I needed to be at that time. And I was just excited. I felt the foreshadow. I knew that there was a dope opportunity for us to build something beautiful for the city. And it was just excitement.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I was turned, man. It was up for once Will was like, I'm down. I said, it's over, bro. It's up. Like, where we trying to do this job, bro? And when we all came in, that was like when we all met, bro. It was like that was a stamp. Like, this is real.
Yeah.
We about to go crazy now. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, it was just like you said, Scott. Like everybody, and what you said, Will, is like everybody that is on the squad is like. Everybody had something
100%
valuable,
100%.
like was a key piece to like to the idea, to 100%. The vision, and the also it's super dope is like the fact that like everyone had the same heart, bro.
Yeah.
Everybody had the same heart, like from the rip. Like we didn't have to like side check nobody, right. Like what angle they trying to be on, but it was just like it's God's divine alignment, and was like, these folks, I want to use them. You know what I'm saying? It was just an honor just to even be in that moment. It was like, wow, like God about to do something crazy with us, like
for sure.
I want to say it pretty much. I feel like going into it, like I had in my back of my mind, all right, I can see this working, but sometimes when you get a bunch of like leaders in one room, you always wonder like, okay, how is this really going to work out? Like, are we going to step on each other's toes? But everything just like worked out. Everybody just got along. Everybody played their role, and pretty much we're here for the kingdom.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I think one of the things that was super telling was we just met.
Yeah.
And we already started planning the first event.
Yeah.
Right.
Right away.
Like,
I didn't even think about that.
We didn't have a second meeting.
Yeah.
Like,
You're right.
Later we did have a second meeting later, but
so
the
funny.
first conversation,
I didn't think about it that way
the first conversation we've ever had, all of us in the same room, was like, well, we can do it at Rec.
Yeah.
Like I'm down. Here's the calendar.
Yeah.
So let's maybe pick a Friday or something.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
and then people were like, hey, is this going to be a dry event?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yep.
is this going to be 18 plus? Like, we started answering questions
Yeah.
about the
we were doing
foundation.
logistics.
Yeah. Already.
Within 30 minutes of sitting down.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah, like we're here.
Yeah,
Like,
we're
we're all
here.
ready to do this. And I think what's beautiful is maybe all of us would have been a little bit reluctant to do this on our own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of knowing what it takes. But
Oh, yeah.
together,
100%.
it's
Oh, yeah.
like,
Yeah.
What?
it's like the ox being yoked up with each other. You feel like you can really pull, 10,000 more pounds together. So
come on, man, 110%. I told Will this, man. I'm just like a while back. I don't know if you remember, but how this is. I say this is the manifestation of everyone's obedience. Like if Scott wasn't being obedient to what God was calling him to do, would we be here? No. You know what I'm saying? If Doc wasn't being obedient, if Trey, if Will, he probably wouldn't have Rec. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But like, in those type of things, it's like, man, like. And it goes to show, man, like, obedience over sacrifice, bro. Obedience over sacrifice, man. And it shows, we can see far, but God sees higher. You know what I'm saying? And he's just like, I just love how this is all like, all the chips are now laid on the table and the pieces are really coming together. It's because of, it was his idea, but he had it before we even existed. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And to be a part of it, just like, it's lit, bro. So dope.
Let's talk about the going into that first event. We are going to center on January 17th, which is Volume 2. But just to kind of frame this for people who don't have any idea what Kingdom Philly is, it's the first time they're ever hearing about it. We're talking about it like it's a really big deal, but like what actually was it? Yeah. The one thing I want to say is like it is clearly meeting a need that other people have felt.
100%.
Right? Like we weren't sure. I remember Doc and I a year and plus ago from recording this episode, we're talking about like, is Philly really going to buy into a space like this? We weren't sure.
Wasn't sure at all.
Right? Like, because Philly has that post up on a wall. Let me put my arms across my chest energy, right? Yeah. Like, even at a concert, a lot of times it's hard to win over a Philly crowd.
Yeah.
Probably more than most places. So the idea of like a dance club atmosphere, is that something that people are really going to vibe with? And what was crazy is as soon as we dropped the flyer, which was a pretty simple aesthetic, very Kingdom simple. Philly, the hype and holy experience, a little blurb as a caption, that thing went.
It went crazy.
What?
It went crazy.
1,000 shares in 24 hours.
It went crazy.
Right?
Sheesh.
Like for
tons of comments.
Just people like, I'm there, I'm pulling up, sharing.
Yep.
Everybody's putting it up on their stories. This was not some like we got a whole marketing scheme together.
No paid media, no radio, no nothing.
It just went.
Yeah, bro.
And the thing ends up selling out ahead of time.
Yeah.
Thousands of page views on the actual Eventbrite and everything. Yeah. People were trying to call us to sneak in.
Get
tickets.
You need more volunteers.
More volunteers. That's the play.
Man, I'm just here at Rec for I'm just getting some work done.
I was here.
I was already here. But how was that? Like that first one, rather than talk about the specifics of the day, like that support that came out, like how telling was that for you guys?
Man, I loved it, bro. It was just affirming, you know, because I felt like I was going in with like, we're creating a space that I believe the city needs, but also I know that I need.
Yeah, that part.
And I think there's something special to move with that energy too, because you're walking out on stage just saying, if I feel this way, I believe that there's other people who are feeling this way too, and I think to be able to be like, I know somebody else is sick of being in some of these clubs. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And specifically for me, it was so clear. It was just like, where is there going to be a space where we can walk in, have an amazing time, and actually leave feeling better than when we came in?
Yeah.
And I feel like that resonates with a lot of people.
Yeah.
So to hear everyone say that vocally and be like, finally.
Yeah.
Needed this. You know, it was just really beautiful. It was just an affirmation to the obedience, and I feel like fired me up even more at that point to be like, oh, all right, cool. Now we just in the group chat. Let's go.
Yeah, definitely, man. It was something that was like really needed because it felt like when it came to like Kingdom things, it felt like Philly was like kind of like dying. And I know Key from when the scene was like popping.
Yeah.
When that joint was on fire, it was like something like almost like every week. So just to see like that energy being brought back to the city for a Kingdom event, so dope, man.
I concur, man. I was I ain't got nothing to say. It was just all the things, bro.
Yeah.
It was all the things, man. It was just to see the just the amount of different people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like different people come
Both times.
Diversity in ages and backgrounds.
Bro,
yeah.
Like it was like you got the person who was the usher at the church. Then you got the boy with the tats on his face.
Yeah.
Like you got everybody in this joint, bro.
You know what I love too? I love seeing people that I personally did not invite
Yeah.
that came and I knew them.
Oh,
like
right,
people,
yeah.
I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
I didn't even know you was on this same time. Okay.
Yeah.
That was really special for me.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, cool. There's a lot of us out here doing
A lot of us
thing,
out here, bro.
you know?
Looking for the same things, man.
That's it.
One of my favorite parts was people sending me the flyer.
Oh, they said, you
Was
gonna pull
like,
up?
yo, you going to the show?
You going? Yeah.
So I might be there.
Yeah.
I might pull up.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna pull up.
Yeah.
So should we talk about the actual experience? Like, what did people
So
walk
the
into?
first one, I want to name a couple things from it because I do want to center on January 17th. I keep saying that. We're not going to get there.
We'll get there.
But the first one was important from a bunch of different reasons. Number one, we did the spotlight set for Treyway
Yeah, it's fire.
with his band, the Now Generation. And I think that was so well received that it was like, okay, we always know we want to do
Yeah.
a spotlight artist.
Yeah.
Now, we don't want to turn it into a concert. It's not a concert.
Yeah.
It's not a night full of artists, and that's what you're doing is just focused on the stage.
Yeah.
The focus is really on the dance floor,
That's right.
the environment, the connections, the
Yeah.
vendors,
Yep.
the DJs, the food even.
Yeah.
There's like a photo booth and all that kind of stuff. Like there's a lot of these elements we want people to connect. And it's happening for 3-4 hours, so there's plenty of time to do that. Games and all that kind of stuff. But Trey's artist spotlight, I felt like really set the stage for our second volume.
Yeah.
And then Soraya, I do want to name
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Excellent pickup.
Facts.
Yeah, Soraya was asked to just host.
Yeah.
Yep.
And by about one in the morning after the event, she was in the group chat.
Facts.
Yeah, part of the team.
That's part of the team now.
So you guys cool with Soraya?
Yeah.
So it started out with the 7 of us: Rose Golden, Keith, Trey, Will, Doc, myself, DJ Angie. But then bringing Soraya into the mix, I felt like that was massively
Great pickup. I
huge.
feel like we just got Luca
Yeah.
for the sports fans.
Word up.
If you don't know who that is, you're living under a rock.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was the first Kingdom was amazing.
Yeah.
I think what's beautiful is we took that first Kingdom. We didn't know was it going to be a one and done thing.
Yeah.
Clearly from the support of it,
Yeah.
the energy that happened,
Had to run it back.
we had to run it back. So we started almost immediately planning for January 17th. And I think we like grew a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
We did,
Between
yeah,
the first and the
100%.
second. Like the second one felt a lot less stressful going in
Yeah.
because everybody knew exactly what needed to be done in order for it to be successful. So going into January 17th, volume 2, we did the first one in October, doing the next one, a few months away, trying to give this thing some legs to breathe so that people get energized to come to the next one. What do you guys remember about the planning process going into the second one?
Smoother.
Yeah.
I think it was smoother. Like we pretty much had the skeleton, everything all set. So it was like,
Now it's just
very
tweaking.
simple.
Yeah.
Now
Uh-huh.
it's just, okay, we see the vision here. Let's add a little bit of this, maybe
Yeah.
do a bit less of that. Like elements like adding the games into it, I thought was a huge success. Whether that was the big Jenga,
Yeah.
for people to just engage that way, or even the card games he was doing on stage. I felt like figuring out more ways to just like spur that connectivity that it was all about. I thought that was really wise. But yeah, I felt like we had already built rapport at that point
Yeah.
too as a team, so I think it was a bit easier to have, critical conversations,
Yeah.
keep things going.
I agree with that. It was simple.
yeah. Yeah.
You know what I think sometimes the challenge of doing events that we're coming off of a successful sold out event.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's easy to like kind of rest on the laurels a
Yeah.
little bit, when it comes to like
I feel
promo.
that. Yeah.
But it was funny because I felt a little bit of that energy, but then when we saw how it came together for the second one,
Yeah.
I'll just say, even though the first one was amazing, the second one felt better.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I think there was so much value in the first one, but I think the second one, some of those little tweaks that we had made, and I think the camaraderie that we had built as a team, I think resounded into the experience, and I think we made even more space for Christ in it, and really gave people even more of what I think they were hoping for.
Yeah.
They were definitely different.
Yes,
bro.
they were.
Like the first event felt a lot younger in
Yeah.
some senses, a lot more hype and high energy.
Yep.
Like if the first one was the hype experience, the second one was more the holy experience.
Yeah.
Both were a blend of each other,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it was very interesting how different they were. And I think that that's the beauty of it is depending on who those 150 to 200 people that get those tickets are going to be.
Yeah.
The room's gonna change because
Yeah.
the people are the
Yeah,
ones who
bro.
make the room.
That's
right.
It's really not even what we've done.
Yeah,
It's
we
them.
just build a container.
Yeah, we just set up the
Yeah.
banks of the river and then the water flows through, right?
Yeah.
And so we're just kind of creating the spot for the ecosystem to thrive.
Yeah.
But everybody is what makes it what it is. Like if 150 people come miserable,
Yeah.
you're going to have a terrible time.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's packed.
Yeah.
If everybody hates their life that day.
Yeah, right.
You know, but people are coming with expectation, with joy, with hope.
Yeah.
With encouragement, with whatever they have going on. Some people are struggling, but they get pulled up through it. But I was kind of blown away how different the crowd was
Yeah.
and but it was still amazing
Yeah, so good.
for the second one. The other thing that we had on the second one, shout out to Sarai, DJ Angie killed it at the first one.
Crazy.
But he even he had to
Yeah.
be the only
Yeah,
DJ
yeah,
for the
right.
second one.
Yeah.
My man was like,
yeah.
I'm gonna do 1,000 songs tonight
Yeah.
by myself. And then the artist spotlight was
Come on, Doc.
Yeah.
this guy.
Come on, Doc.
Yeah.
This guy over here, Mr. Hero Island himself, Doc Hero.
Yeah, Doc
See.
killed it.
Came with it.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate that.
Came with it. So Doc, I gotta ask, what was going into your mind prepping for this event? Obviously, you've done, thousands of performances all over the world. You've done the thing. I'm wondering if you had anything in your mind or on your heart leading up to Kingdom Volume 2 that you kind of wanted to bring to that stage.
I think what I wanted to pretty much bring to that stage was just one, I feel like it was more of a a thing of being obedient to the Lord, because I kind of took a break on my artistry. So it's kind of just making that step forward to really do this thing full time again and do it how I used to do it, and just kind of just keep bringing what I have had to offer to the kingdom, and just reminding people, hey, it's cool to struggle, but we are all overcomers as long as we keep following Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Amen.
You know what's crazy about what you just said, bro? And I remember, man, even when we were talking about before you got here, it's man, I called Doc, and I was like, bro, I was just spitballing different things about the whole idea, and we were trying to figure out where we were talking. We went to Roar. We went to the club. He was like, bro, this is where it's gonna be at. You know what I'm saying? Yo, this is where it's gonna be at. And you told me, bro, you said something. You said, I asked you, I said, yo, what's the vibe with you and your music and your artistry? And then he was like, man, I'm still doing. He's like, man, but I'm just wrestling. Like you just said, wrestling if I want to, or if I'm supposed to, this, that, and the third. I'm just like, bro, not yet. Not yet. Let's try this one more thing, bro. Before you try to slide, let's do this one more thing, bro. And it just shows, man, again, bro, your obedience, bro. Your obedience, regardless about you, just because we got access to do something, doesn't mean we always feel like doing it.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? And also, it doesn't always mean by default that we actually want to do it. But it speaks to just how much you love God. It's man, I don't care if I feel like it, don't want to do it, because it's you, and I know you are the ultimate say-sower. We gonna rock out, and I commend you for that, bro. Because you could have said, you had a choice. You had a choice, bro. You had a choice. And obviously you chose the right one. So.
Well, I think it's actually really beautiful how Doc was supposed to be on the first one.
Yeah.
We had
man.
written into the run of show to do Treyway's set.
Yeah.
And then about 30 minutes later for Doc to do a set, or vice versa, or whatever. But we were having trouble with kind of the sound for the one in October. And Doc looked at it, was like, nah.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. Not doing it here. Like,
Yeah.
not tonight. Like, and it was so fun because I think looking back, that was so divine.
Yeah.
Because to have both of those things in the same night, like, it would have been too much.
Yeah.
He was
From
supposed
a-
to do the
Yeah.
second.
Yep.
Yeah.
It would have been a concert night.
Yeah.
And I think Kingdom would have been pegged as that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if people would have came back in January to the same degree as
Yeah.
like what they were excited to experience. But then for you to get your moment
Yeah.
on January 17th, I think was so beautiful. And you're a live performer. Like that's
Yeah,
what-
Doc.
You're a performer. So for people like to take 20 minutes out of the dancing, watch you and then go back to turn it up,
man.
it only raised the energy in the room.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
It really was.
I want to say, during my set, man, it was just felt so much fun, even just seeing like the energy from like the audience, because as we know, like a Philly crowd can be like really tough. But that night, man, Guy really did his thing. Sticks, he went crazy on the drums.
That was clutch, man. That was fire.
I mean, having Ant always there, making sure the set is going through smoothly, whatever. But I do want to say this though. So in the beginning, I messed up.
You did. You did. I forgot about that.
Artist for you.
Yeah. So a little secret, I messed up. I kind of blamed it like looking at them like, hey man, what y'all? Look what y'all doing. You know what I mean? So trying to make sure I'm still doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But I started off with the wrong verse.
Oh wow!
So I went verse 2.
Wow.
I went verse 2 during verse 1.
Wow!
And
Exclusive.
that's what messed up the timing on that record.
Oh, see,
I
but
never
he didn't.
knew.
No one would have ever known.
No, I never knew.
I knew.
That's not the song.
So the funniest thing, so the next day, Sticks texted the group chat with me and Ant, was like, so we're going to talk about how you messed up.
I love that. I
So
love
they
that.
always, so that's just another thing, man. Like, if you're an artist, make sure you're around people that's going to hold you accountable.
Yeah.
That's how you're going to get better. And it burnt me up even in that moment, because I hate messing up, man. Like, I really enjoy, performing live and everything like that. So that kind of, burnt me, and I had to fight through that moment. You know what I mean? I had to fight through that moment to get to the end.
It was so
You did.
good, man.
And you
Wow.
did.
Even in the mess up,
Yeah.
most of the room would have no idea that
Yeah, no.
anything
Wow.
was off kilter. But I love the way that whole song just starts your set.
Yeah.
It's just such a
Yeah.
okay, we're
Yeah.
in, it's a lock-in moment. And I think that feature set being early in the night
Yeah.
is so important because Kingdom, the spaces, right, 150, 200 people or whatever come into a space. There's a photo booth, there's food, there's these vendors selling things, there's mocktails, right, drinks, there's a giant Uno game and Jenga, and there's all these elements early, but people need something to light the spark.
Yeah, ground them, bring us
Yeah,
together.
Exactly. And so it's if we open the doors at 8:00, maybe the feature set, the spotlight set is around 9 or so, but that first 45 minutes is really just warming up.
Yeah.
And it's once the artist goes on stage, and I don't know if this will be every artist that goes on stage, but at least for Trey and Doc, that moment is what set the night off.
Yeah.
That feels like the start
Yeah.
of Kingdom.
Yeah.
Is
You're
the
right.
spotlight gets people to the dance floor, engaged with them,
Yeah.
and then right out of your set, DJ Angie goes to a different stratosphere. So I felt like that was incredibly important. One of the really cool things about this night was we had that dance crew show up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Break Free Ministries.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
What did you guys think about them being there? I mean, they were like real dancers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the first time it was a bunch of people
right.
just turning up, having a
Yeah,
good time. This
uh-huh.
was it almost felt like Step Up or something.
Yeah. Right.
Phenomenal.
Heck yeah.
Phenomenal. I think they brought so much to the room. I feel like, we have the circles being made and everyone's just doing their thing, but it was just a different element, man. Just made me get a little more loose.
Yeah, right.
Seeing
Yeah.
them do their thing.
Yeah.
So I thought that was beautiful. And those guys just really, got a heart for Christ and using all the gifts they got, you know, and leaving it on the floor. Yeah, I thought they were an incredible addition.
Yeah, man. I enjoyed their energy 110%, and I think that everyone that was in the space also like fed off of, you know, all the things. Because it's like one thing.
I saw Soraya start DMACing.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? She was in her bag. I think it's one thing, you know, to when people are dancing, having a great time. But then it's another thing when you have a group of people that are dancing as a part of worship.
Yeah.
I think that the heart is different, you know, the energy about what it all encompasses about is different, and the fact that they that people feel free enough to do that at Kingdom is like
Break free.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like it's the a part of the reason and goal of like why we actually wanted to create like a space like this. You know what I'm saying? We want people to be free. Like you don't being a Christian doesn't mean, you know, isn't just like, you know, you have to tie up, you know, holier than thou type thing. Like, no, like there's a point in time, but you're gonna have to dance like David danced. And they were doing some dancing for sure.
He was doing it.
And I think that yeah, man, just encourage everyone and inspired a lot of people like to be free in this moment.
That's right.
Like, yo, like I can still do this and not be looked at a certain way. Like, you know what I'm saying? I can still do this. So I think that was crazy.
It was fun to watch because I'm not a dancer.
Really? Because you go crazy on stage.
No, I'm not a dancer at all. But I got a chance to connect with them and just kind of like really witness their ministry within that room that night. And we talked a little bit and connected. So ironically, we're like on the same concert, like I think in March or something like
That's
that.
what's up.
And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, man. Like
Yeah.
actually getting to see like somebody else's ministry and what they do, and not even knowing that you guys are like connected already. But you know what I mean? But that was really
That's
dope.
hard.
Dope.
And shout out to Break Free Ministries, and shout out to Fred in particular, who helps lead that ministry. Super great dude, and it was on display in real time.
Yeah.
When he grabbed the mic. Did somebody give him the mic, or he just grabbed the mic? How did that happen?
I think he asked Soraya.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he asked Soraya if he could pray.
Yeah, so he just felt, and this wasn't like, let me close out in prayer.
Nah.
Yeah.
Like it was in the middle of the event. He grabs the microphone and he just starts praying.
Yeah.
Powerful.
So
Shit,
powerfully.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like shifted the room. And I don't know what you guys remember about it, but I just remember the prayer around Philly, like
Yeah.
centering on God moving and changing and saving the city of Philadelphia in a new way. It just like absolutely rocked me. But I don't know what you guys remember about that prayer moment and what led from it.
Yeah, bro. It was like it's interesting because when things like this happen, it could either go one way or a good way or a bad way.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, especially when it's like, you're like, I don't know. Like, you don't know, like, people, you know, what type of time they're going to be on, you know. But it was...
Testimony service or something?
Yeah, right.
My heart was racing at that moment.
Yeah, it was like, once I heard another voice, I said, Lord, please let this be you. Please let this be you. And it was, bro. It was. And no, man, I think that I mean, it's very, he just let the Lord use him in that moment. And I think that it was very just discerning of like everybody on the team to like understand the moment what we were in, and everyone just like locked in and were just also just like praying in that moment, because there were a lot of things that were being broken, shifted. You got people crying, you got, you know, people hugging each other. You know, it's just a lot of things that were going on in that moment that was needed for people, because maybe they didn't even know what they needed until that moment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like maybe, you know, they were having a great time, a great moment, and then it was like you get there and it's like, now my heart is like really in the vibe, in what God's really trying to say to me. So it was clutch, bro.
Yeah. If you look at the performance, like Doc's performance as like the kickoff of the night, I feel like that prayer was like, oh, we've all arrived here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we are now fully, palpably in the spirit.
Yeah.
And I think seeing even Soraya, jump up and kind of do a selection, off the cuff right after that, and letting God use her, I thought was really beautiful.
Yeah, she did Open the Eyes of My Heart.
It was just so timely.
Acapella, no track, no nothing, just worship.
Yeah.
And it was not a performance.
Nope. Yeah.
It was a really heartfelt moment that the entire room starts singing this song.
Yeah.
And you're just like, holy crap, like that was this fast.
Yeah.
To go from where we were dancing, turning up, having a good time, and then this shift. And a lot of times, like as event curators, you'd be like, oh, we need to gradually get there.
Yeah.
Like to curate. It's like, man, with God, it doesn't take all that.
Yeah.
Nope.
Like if he wants to do something to make a shift, he can just do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of Kingdom is that we don't know what it is.
Yeah.
No, we just create the container.
Yeah.
We really don't.
We
Like,
just create the container.
I think a lot of people ask that question, like, what is it? You're like, it's the hype and only experience. Like, it's all the things.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It's
It
got
is
a
what it
fashion
is.
element. It's got a music element. It's got
Yeah.
a dancing element. It's got a taste creators element. But it's also got, like, the Holy Spirit
Come
is
on,
going to
man.
show up and do
That's
what he's
right.
going to do. And so that moment with Soraya was really beautiful. And then shout out to Keith, man.
Yeah, brother.
Keith walking up,
Brought
taking
us
over the
home.
microphone and bringing us home. Just staying in that moment, I think it was incredibly
Man,
important.
Bro, when I tell you, so you led prayer, you shared words, and there was a moment where you called for those of us in the space to just pray for each other.
Yeah.
And for me, man, I'm sitting there and I'm looking and I look around the room, bro, and I see 60, 70 people individually in duos praying. I was like, God, thank you.
Yeah, dog.
Obviously the first time I had ever seen anything remotely close to that happening in rec. And I was like, this is what this space is for.
Yeah, dog.
God knew before I knew.
Come on, man.
You know what I mean? So for me, that was such a touching moment, man. I definitely got very emotional to just, again, I think that word obedience is so key. And to see what God does. We do our part to be obedient. And it's like God is just gonna run and do the rest.
Yeah.
Definitely an
dog.
encouraging moment for me to just continually meet him halfway.
Yeah. Yeah, bro.
Yeah, that was powerful, brother.
Amen to that, man. That's that man. Man, it was just like in that moment, bro. It was like, it's like what else do you do besides just follow what he's saying, follow what he's doing in that moment, bro. And like for me, like I never really know what I'm going to say when I get up there. Spoiler alert. Have no clue.
Keith, we know. we know. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
The Lord use you.
No clue. I don't have like something in my pocket to read through. Like this is what the vibe is. But yeah, man, it's like, when you're in these moments, man, God, if you let him, bro, he'll just begin to show you things about what's going on in the space that you're at. And one of the things that, that was being like revealed to me in that moment is that I saw and felt a lot of fear, people embarrassed, and because like when we were dialoguing about it, it's like, bro, it's over 100 people in here. You trying to tell me everybody got it together?
Right.
Like that's there's nobody that will believe that, bro. Nobody that will ever believe that. And it was like God was just saying like, yo, people will feel more comfortable if they had somebody do it with them. Yeah. And that was when I was like, well, look, man, if we're not brave enough at this particular moment to stand up on our own, we got somebody next to you that'll do it with you and for you. Yeah. And it was really, really encouraging and affirming afterwards is that there were many stories, but then like one particular guy came up to me and was like, bro, did you know that you were going to have people pray for each other? I said, nah, bro. Like, I had no idea. He was like, man, because I was scared to raise my hand, bro. And the person that was praying for me, bro, like he really like got me right. And like I accepted Christ. I was just like, wow, bro. Like, and that's what the vibe is, man. That's the ultimate, like, you talk about kingdom, bro. It's a hyper holy experience, but if we're not building it, why are we here?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that, like, those moments, man, those are the ones that really, really get me, like, motivated. Like, yo, we got to keep doing this, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, man, I want to say, like, that was a super powerful moment for me and for Kingdom, especially during that prayer. This lady started like praying for me, and it was like very like prophetic. I was like, yo, this is crazy, because I don't know her from a can of paint whatsoever. So everything I've been like praying for and things I know I need to work on, she just was like just calling it out and like just like speaking it like over my life. I'm like, wow, this is
how it goes.
This is God right here. This is a God moment. You know what I mean? And then also like hearing from a group of people that came out from our church. They were telling me they were like praying with another like group of girls, and come to find out they got connected with them. This girl started coming to the Bible study at the church.
Nice. Amen.
Ironically, she lives like literally down the street.
Wow.
And had no idea that we had a church inside the Story Factory. So I'm like, that's a super crazy like God moment. Like, just truly amazing.
It's so good, man.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
From your vantage point, I mean, I just want to echo what Will was even saying about rec. I think, like, rec is significant.
Yeah.
You know,
Big time.
like it is a significant space for the city of Philadelphia and for the artists and creative type to see like God doing something in that space. I think is really beautiful. Like, and I think is really important, supernaturally, spiritually speaking.
Agreed.
For the city, like that there's, you know, I spend some time with the guy, Jamie Fitt, you know, love him. And he's like the guy that walks around with the chauffeur, you know, and blows the horn all the time. And
Word.
he like sees in the, you know, all the like the kingdoms under the ground and stuff, you know, he's just one of the coolest dudes ever. But I think he would affirm that, like these places of like authority and resource and outlet. Like there's spiritual stuff there that if God starts to move in those spaces, it unlocks access to other things for him to continue to flow out into the rest of the city. So I know I felt that.
Same.
Like thinking to, you know, different moments I've had in rec at other people's events, ran there, where you're like, man, this is like the anti-Jesus of a moment, low key, you know? And nothing to Rec's front. You guys are the shell that other people were utilizing. So it's just, you know, who's running the space or who's curating the experience. But to see the flip side of that, like a moment of real light and love and joy and peace on display, I think that was very significant. You know, I don't even know the significance of it, but I feel like something will come of that. But what about you guys? Other impact that you felt from January 17th?
I mean, overall, man, it's for me, it's just like, man, the relationships that are built in these moments, bro. Like, you know, it's a dope, really, really dope experience. But then it's like, you know, especially when it comes to when you have like those really high, like God, like spirit, like moments, it makes us very vulnerable, and people really, that's when like it's like, dang, man, like I'm talking to a complete stranger, and like my whole guard is down, and now not only do they know something very, very intimate with me, but I also know something very intimate about them, and now we're friends, you know what I'm saying? And just to hear, like you said, like the person who lives right down the street from the church, you know what I'm saying? And it's like those kind of things, like that's ultimately, that's what God does, bro. Yeah. That's what God does, bro. He'll make bring strangers together, and they'll be friends because they have the common denominator, and it's him in their lives, you know?
100%. Yeah, and I think for me, you know, just briefly, I think there was a clear thirst for folks that was just deepened, right? It was a heightened search, you know, and a heightened desire for Christ from people. For example, I had someone come up to me and was like, yo, this event is dope. Does the Kingdom do a Bible study?
Yeah.
You know? and we haven't had any conversations around that formally yet. But it was just an indicator that she was like, I had such a good time here that I want to spend more time with the Lord, right? And I think that's what the impact, should be from my perspective. Like that's what we're hoping for, right? To make people who are hungry and more thirsty and really, really wanting to continue to chase the Lord. So that was dope for me.
That's tough, bro.
So good. I'm just excited for the future, guys. I think it's like we're coming up to volume 3, later on this spring. And, by the time some people listen to this, maybe it will be on to volume 4.
Yeah.
But it just feels like to be where we are 2 events in is pretty unique. Yeah. And it says a lot about the fact that this wasn't our grand idea. Like, this is God doing this.
Yeah.
And like we said at the very beginning of this episode, like things like Joyful Noise and the Ark and the Cove and Safe Social Club, without them, we wouldn't have the leg up to do this from the rip and it goes so well.
Yeah.
Because we would be trying to convince people of an idea that would be kind of a stretch for some folks. Because for the last couple of years, this has been happening nationally and people are seeing the fruit of it, when we stepped into the Philadelphia context to do it, I think people were really excited about it. So we even say thank you to them.
Yeah, for sure.
Because this really is bigger than us. We have the best 8 curators, in my opinion, in the city, all in one room. It's a really, really unique crew to have Soraya, Keith, Will, Rose, Doc, and myself in the same room. Yeah. With, I think we said 30 years of experience. It's more probably like 60 or 70 years if you add it all up. Because I know I'm old. So that's about half the years right there. But
that's funny.
But that idea that, wasn't just us, it's God. Like, yes, he brought a really great group of people together. And we know a lot of people, so we're going to get a lot of people. But it's also the foundation that was laid nationally.
Yeah, for sure.
It's also the stirring that people have in their hearts.
Yep.
It's also this, like, the next generation is looking for really something that looks like this, feels like this, like it's like a perfect storm for Kingdom to be a success. Does that make sense?
Love that.
So I'm really excited to see what the future holds. What's our URL to point people to that are super curious about the next one?
Yeah, and the website is thekingdomphl.com.
Okay, thekingdomphl.com. If you go to that link, no matter when you go to it, you will likely see the next volume up. Because I think we're going to keep doing this thing.
I think so.
I think we're going to keep doing this thing.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for being on today's podcast.
Oh, bro.
Will, Keith, Doc. Shout out to Top Mop Productions, Jared Moses.
Yes, sir.
We couldn't do this without him. But also, thank you to all of our supporters and partners with Ripe Creatives. Your support goes a huge, huge, huge long way. Whether you realize it or not, your investment in our ministry is what enables me to do stuff like this full time, to be a part of a team like this, to help, in whatever small ways I can to see Kingdom Philly, take one step further than maybe it could if I wasn't a part of it. So your support really does help things even like Kingdom Philly as an extension. So thank you for supporting us. Thank you for partnering with us. If you are here, you're a fan of Will, fan of Keith, fan of Doc, fan of this thing, Kingdom Philly, and you don't currently support us, please, we highly encourage you, jump on our website, ripecreatives.com. Check out what we're about, our mission, vision, values. Look at the team, the roster of artists and the worship team and the events that we throw. And consider clicking the give button to become, a partner with us one time or monthly, whatever frequency capacity is right for you. Your support is what enables us to do stuff like this, and we want to continue to do it all the more. So highly encourage you to jump on our website and consider giving in that direction. Will, Keith, Doc, before we officially sign off, any last thoughts?
Jesus loves you.
That part.
Yeah.
Hope to see y'all at the next Kingdom.
Yeah.
Pull up.
Yes, sir, Ski. It's up and it's stuck. Ain't going nowhere.
We hear y'all. And until next time, y'all, stay right.
Boy. That's it. Yeah, I'm done with the games. I thought this was.
You can learn more about Ripe Creatives and support our ministry by visiting our website, ripecreatives.com. To never miss a future episode, you can join our community text line by texting Time is Ripe to 215-273-3540. Time is Ripe is produced, recorded, edited, and released by Top Mop Productions. We hope you enjoyed today's episode.
Living my purpose. Know that I'm the best to do it when I'm living the service. Once you see light, you understand that sin is whack. Be aware, wolves plotting on the next attack. Armor of God, give me the word. I'm always strapped. My brother's able, never question if I got his back.